This is No.3 at Studio Jive in Tokyo, Japan. Hi, my name's Chris from Focusrite. Because 4 of the 10 consoles went to studios in Tokyo, I wanted to find out what it was about the Japanese recording industry that made the Focusrite sound so attractive to them. From my research, I found 2 of the consoles in their original locations. First stop was Studio Jive, who bought console number 3 in 1991. It was initially a 72 input console, but when the studio moved premises a few years later, they cut the console down to a 56 input desk in a 48 channel frame by installing some of the 110 modules above the monitor section.
でかいです。まあちょっと変わったタクが好きだったんじゃないかなっていう推測はありますけど。はい。
It feels very rock and roll in this room. There's amazing Gibson guitars and there's an old Gretsch there that looks very old and very special.
ジャンルはいろいろ問わないんですけど、もだった人固有名詞で挙げると、そうですね、ノンジャンルというか、まあロック系の方も多いですし、いわゆる歌物と言われるものの斉藤和義さんとか、あとはカシオペアとかですね。
The leather's cracking. It's beautiful, really. It's like to see the sweat that all these engineers have put into this console.
まあフォーカスライトがナチュラルで自然なんで、その何を使っても逆に合うんじゃないかっていうことで、そういうアグレッシブなエッセンスだったりとかがちょっと付加されたりもするものもありますし、自然なものもうまく組み合わせられるんじゃないかなっていうところだと思います。
There's a rack of 1176s here, LA3As. There's some really kind of grungy, tubey processors here, whereas the Focusrite is renowned for its kind of crystal clear, amazing high frequencies, very controlled bottom end.
マイクプリンも EQ も好きですよ。でもあれですかね、一番はフィルターですか。全体的に言えることなんですけど、かかりがソフトなんですよね。EQ にしても何にしても、そのなんて言うんでしょう、ソフトな感じがね、優しい感じというかなんていうか。
他のコンソールにあるような派手さはないんですけれど、上まですっきり伸びてて綺麗なで太い自然な感じがいいなと思ってます。
We headed across town to Crescent Studios, who initially purchased consoles 8 and 10. Only No.10 remains here after they cut down and sold No.8 to a private studio in the city. We spoke to Mr. Sawamura, maintenance engineer at Crescent, who has dedicated 20 years of his life to keeping the studio consoles running.
非常に複雑なコンソールなんですよね。このコンソールっていうのはそれが私の一つの印象になってます。細かいところまで設計が行き届いてる面、非常にデリケートな部分があって、そこがやっぱり一番印象的ですね。
よく宇宙船みたいって言われるんですけど、スタッフ全員で作業するっていうのは一体感生まれて、もちろん皆さんモチベーションも上がりますし、少なからずそれが音に関わってくると思うんですね。
僕ここに入って10年ぐらいになるんですけど、ここがスタートなんで、いろんなここに来てくださるエンジニアさんから他のスタジオで仕事する時に多分すごい困るよって言われるぐらい、ここはすごい素晴らしいんで、フォーカスライトのコンソール
女性的なイメージがあるんですね。なんかこうふくよかなラインを描くようなイメージは僕は持ってます。どう？あ、そうなんだ。
So this is 3 racks, 3 6-foot racks of power supplies for a 72 channel console.
さまざまなことがいろいろあってですね、落雷により電源が飛んでしまったりとかですね、震災の後計画停電で電源を切って入れ直したら入んなかったとか、そういうこともありました。びっくりするようなことが起きますからね。それは多分どちらの国でも起きていることだと思いますよ。はい。
世界に何十台もあるわけではないので、そういう貴重な卓で作業させていただくってことはもう非常に勉強になりますし、
Present also had console number 8, but number 8 is now in these racks.
で、多分これから先に、もっとこう、原点回帰をされてアナログのいい音というものがまた見直されてくると思うので、
Did you make these?
うまく沢村さんにメンテしていただいて何十年と使って、
Mr. Sawamura made some power supplies so they would fit in these boxes.
So these machines are so unique that you have to have a maintenance engineer full time who really knows what they're doing. There must be 200 pages of circuit diagrams here. It's probably a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest, to keep maintaining this thing, but there must be something about these consoles that really is magic. And I think that's why they're still here. They sound so amazing and people have such emotional attachments to them. It's really fascinating.
Right now, damaging winds are blowing from southern New England across...
Shortly after our first trip to SST in New Jersey, home to console number 9, Superstorm Sandy hit the east coast of the USA, sending a huge storm surge up the Hudson River and into the SST buildings. The entire facility was destroyed by water damage. The control room and the Focusrite console was immersed in 4 feet of salt water. Everything was destroyed.
Wow, it was... So the stage used to be there?
Correct.
Whoa.
A bit different than you remember.
I've got the hairs are standing up on the back of my neck. I remember that little statue guy. So yeah, the control rooms there used to walk through here. There was like a little room here, right?
Right.
With like the mixing desk. Hey Ken. Hi. Nice to meet you.
It took a while to be able to actually get into the place. You know, it was a few days before the water subsided, and we got a chance to take a look at things.
The water came underneath and was enough to get up about 3/4 of the console.
Right about here, about halfway up the bucket.
The extent of the damage is, you know, it was almost as much as you could do.
No one's prepared for that kind of devastation. I mean, it's like a war zone. It just was unstoppable.
The concept was to get the center section and a bucket of 8 to survive, to live again, and then take it from there.
And I just feel like I've got to follow this through and help him get this thing back to life. It's just, we can't lose another big room, great room. So that's what we're going through at the moment.
The biggest and most impressive studio console was number 5, which went to BOP Studios in South Africa.
I'm hearing something coming through now. There you go.
My name is David Strad. I'm a singer-songwriter from Joburg. When I walked in here, I wasn't actually aware that I was going to be seeing what I did. It's amazing. It took me a while to just take everything in and understand what the pristine place I'm actually privileged to see. Yeah.
Never in my life I've seen an installation of this grand scale, this elegance, this complexity.
This is just mind-blowing that this is in Africa and in Mafeking of all places.
That was awesome! That was awesome!
We had been approached by a French-Canadian engineer called André Perrault, who was contracted to essentially design the whole facility.
I was the project manager to start, and after that I became managing director of the facility when we opened. For some reason, ISA case was in South Africa and met with the president of Botswana, and they were talking about trying to import some talent from America to help promote Botswana, that at the time was independent from South Africa. So Isaac simply said, well, what you guys need to do is build a top recording studio and put people in place. And so there were Tom on the plane, Tom Italy on the plane, Thomas Rass, the architect, and myself. So we had the private plane, and we were just flying around in this amazing, field of animals and all this. And they say, well, just pick where you would build.
With an astonishing $30 million budget, Andre spec'd gear that would live up to the amazing reputation that BOP quickly gained. From buying the largest Neve, SSL and Focusrite consoles of the day, to installing Van den Hull silver wiring throughout the complex.
I knew very well Focusrite, and so I said, well, why don't we try to get a console fully made of this technology and all that. So then the whole thing rolled out of that, and then everything was totally best we could think of.
We're just going to drop in. You're going to start play when you feel the need. The Focusrite console. It's the most beautiful sounding disc that I've ever worked on. The sound is just amazingly smooth.
You see now that part over there, I was supposed to cut a bar earlier.
I'm not the kind of engineer that faffs too much with EQ and compression. So if I get a signal through that sounds perfect from the first get-go, puts a smile on my face. Okay, let's shoot up.
The Focusrite's not an inline disc, so obviously you'd have to have a channel that you're going to have your mic come in on, and you're going to route that out to your tape machine via a group.
We used to run either 24-track analog machine for majority of our sessions, or the 48 dash. Because of the size of this disc, we had more than enough inputs and outputs on this disc.
After a spell in the hands of the South African Broadcasting Corporation, BOP closed in 2003 and has been largely non-operational since then.
When we had all three rooms going, it was a fantastic atmosphere.
It was an influx of artists and people, day in and day out.
Producers, engineers, guitarists, drummers, percussionists, vocalists, everywhere, around every single corner.
We used to be a group of people that worked here as well that really clicked.
If something needs to be done at this time of the morning, when you get a bright spark, we'd all be in it together.
The current owner has big ambitions for BOP and a determination to revive the historic facility to all its glory.
My vision for the future is to create a hub, arts and culture hub, not just for the country, but for the continent and moreover globally.
Can we have a handshake?
Yes.
The three of you.
I would like to see it bustling with music production. Because that's why it's been built, designed for top-end music production.
I see young upcoming stars here. I see us training, uplifting the youth. I just see the place buzzing.